Kelly Hushin, and I'm here at ProcureCon for Corporate Sourcing in Atlanta. I'm here with Roy Anderson, former CPO at State Street, and now you have taken a new role with Medsys
Technologies. Yes, correct.
Great. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. So we're here talking about a lot of different trends and challenges in procurement, and the evolution of procurement as an organization and as an actual role. And tomorrow you're going to be talking about organizational transformation. Now I know that's sort of could be a broad sweeping term, but what do you think that really means, and how will you be addressing it tomorrow?
Well, I'm going to spend some time tomorrow talking about a little bit of the history of procurement, and realize that transformation isn't a one-time event, but transformation is a continuing improvement, and it will continue on for as long as there is this concept of procurement. So we had, at the very beginning, procurement was the buyer. The whole idea of the transactional, the requisition, there was a big win if you got to 3 bids. I mean, the federal acquisition regulations were get 3 bids, that competition will drive the overall cost structure down. We moved to technology that started to automate those requisitions, and with that we now started to understand who our customer was, who our suppliers were, and then what we were buying. So now we had a spend cube that we could do more strategic sourcing. And then came the idea of strategic sourcing and then aggressive sourcing to be able to really drive those cost structures down, the advent of reverse auctions, and then all those required skill set changes within the organization. Now the next generation of this activity is to start looking at where are we going to spend our time as efficiently and effectively as possible. Get rid of the hobbies, get rid of the things that are more transactional in nature, and what you'll find is strategic sourcing as a standalone event is relatively transactional. The skill set has changed, and it is so standard that really should be done by a third party that can do it more efficiently and effectively and have better skill sets and better knowledge of the marketplace. So the skill sets within the procurement operation now start to drive towards holistic program management, value-based sourcing, where they're looking at the entire chain of activity from need, whether that's a need driven by the customer, the external customer, or by the marketing program or the product management team that's putting up new events, all the way through closure to the very end of the life cycle of that product. And the question becomes, are you good enough to ask the right questions so that you can create a supplier-based solution that's going to provide a more holistic understanding? So for example, when you're dealing with print, came from an insurance company, lots of paper. Right. We had strategic sourcing to go after commercial print, financial print, statement printing. Each one was strategically done. We would then do paper, and then we'd do warehousing, all of those elements. Well, then we started to realize the question was, why are we printing? Why aren't we moving towards a more web-based enablement? And why aren't we getting our customers more on the web and have every document that goes out driving our customers to the web so that we can now have that interactive experience? Well, the question is, why would procurement be in that discussion? Because our suppliers and the innovation from the supplier base was helping us to drive the strategy of what was possible. But we had to get our marketing teams together from every line of business. We had to get our IT group together, all of our print function people together, our suppliers together, to create a more holistic program review that literally transforms the way the company does business. That's where procurement can really make a difference. But then you say, do you have the skill sets to be able to get to that level? Do you have the people that have that salesmanship, that have the business acumen to do that? Do they understand what the line of business is doing? Can they think more strategically in that approach?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to sort of ask you next. We're talking about transformation, and you're bringing up some great points about these skill sets. How do you think the procurement professional as a job is evolving, and how do you get those skills? And maybe that's an internal thing, maybe it's an external thing, but maybe you could talk a little bit about what you think procurement organizations can do to better orient their team to these skills.
All right, so let's take a step back again. Remember,
sure.
We had those skill sets associated with placing orders, and then it was about speed and efficiency and accuracy. And then we had the technology, and the operations team became big. Catalog management and spend analytics became really like, can you drive a reverse auction? Well, as we get to this next stage of holistic activity, I believe the best procurement people are the people that are actually residing in the business today. They live in marketing, they're a marketing person, or they live in IT and understand the servers and the web environment, storage capabilities, the whole infrastructure activity. And then go to the senior people in those organizations to say, can we rotate them into procurement? A couple things happen. One, you now have someone that understands the business, working inside your organization to give you a much better view and understanding of what the needs are in that regard. Second is you can then give them the training necessary so that they become more valuable to the company. In their current role, they see one line of business or one area. In the procurement role, they now see the entire company. They see multiple attributes. They see the supplier's capability in this area, and then start to have an understanding of not only the business acumen and knowledge, but how the supplier base can actually support that effort. Right. You bring those together, and then teach them better negotiation skills, better supply management skills, the project management skills, and then how to work as a collaborator in a project management approach. And as you rotate them back into the business, they are a more robust, competent, capable person that has a better understanding of the entire company, more valuable to the business. And now I have a person that has the procurement mindset in the business that I can then reach out to. So you start to build those relationships, those rotational programs in all the areas. You now start to build a really good training ground for competencies within the organization.
This rotational concept is very interesting. Do you see organizations implementing this, or do you think this is just something that is just being thought about and is just kind of being experimented with? I personally don't know whether this is happening a lot.
I think it's happening more and more, but there are a lot of issues. One, does the IT group or the marketing group want to give up one of their good people to go into procurement? And so they need to have that open understanding of the long term. You need to get your HR people bought into the idea that these rotational programs are going to be really good. Some HR people love it, they drive it, I mean, it's a normal part of their business, but they don't usually use procurement as one of the stops. They just haven't made that connection. Yes. How does that work? I'm not sure. But you get them on board, it works out really well. You also have the individual. They're looking at their career path and they're saying, is a stop in procurement going to get me to be the next vice president or senior vice president inside the organization? So we in procurement now need to be able to show them through, like everything else, small wins, then bigger wins, and then literally a marketing campaign in some regards, to have them feel comfortable that procurement people today are moving off and becoming the chief operating officers of companies. They are becoming the leaders in major corporations. So having their line of business experience and procurement experience gives them even a better chance of getting to their self-actualization, their end state career goals as best they can. And I think you'll find that they'll enjoy it. Because procurement, if done well, done with creativity and innovation and having really open partnerships with your partners inside and your partners with your supplier base, it is such a creative environment for people to do their best work.
It's interesting that you mentioned a marketing campaign in sort of, in quotes, because is that something that you guys are actually driving towards? Because I myself thought that would be kind of effective or maybe helpful in kind of understanding internally what procurement is. And I think that's been a challenge for a long time, it seems, that procurement, both internally and externally, being able to sort of sell themselves.
Great question. So one of the things I did when I first got into MetLife is I specifically created a role for marketing. Meaning a person that does marketing, mindset of marketing, a marketing person inside of procurement. Why? Every one of our sourcing events and our programs required communications to 60,000 employees. So you need to sell them on the concept of complying with this new solution, letting them know it's coming, giving them the understanding of why, giving them a clear value proposition so it makes it easier for people to understand why they should be a part of it. Then that marketing program reinforces good behavior. It provides the data for us to create programs that are more effective. And then what's the marketing person do? They send out information and then they get feedback. So they become really good at saying, well, what's the feedback I'm getting? And hey, sourcing manager or program manager, you missed the boat in this area. You have a section of people in this particular geography or this particular line of business that doesn't understand it, or it's not meeting their needs. And that feedback loop is a very core marketing capability that the procurement department needs. And I suggest to you that the next generation of that is literally social networking, so that when you have a requirement and your internal customer, your internal partner is working with a consultant, working with a product, that they should be able to provide you feedback right there and then in terms of the quality, service, and delivery of that requirement. And you should be able to filter that out, just like any marketing group does, to say, is this a big problem? Is this a change in the products that we're providing? Or is this something that you send a note back to the person going, thank you very much, we'll talk later. But it's a marketing program. Our programs that we're rolling out, service levels, new product enhancements, all have to be communicated. So one of the skill sets in procurement has to be the ability to market these programs more effectively.
Absolutely. Well, lots of exciting things. Marketing and social networking suddenly a part of procurement. It's really great to talk to you and hear about all of this stuff. And I look forward to kind of hearing the progress of this. And tomorrow you're giving this talk, and I hope that it goes well, and we sort of continue the discussion.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to talk a lot about innovation. We're going to talk about how our suppliers can really be a part of that and how we utilize the supplier base more effectively. And then where do we focus our time and attention and continually move away from things that become more transactional in nature and continue to raise the bar in terms of what we can apply. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for the time.
Great. Yes, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that the rest of the conference goes really well for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.